Welcome to That's Dope, the podcast where we talk about dope things. I'm back in Dallas, and I'm hanging out with the homies Sam and Josh. It's just sort of like, let's just get together and make an episode since we're actually like all together for once, right?
Yeah, it's good doing it together.
Yeah,
this is wild.
Doing it together.
It's been so many of these Zoom meetings.
Yeah, honestly, like it sort of feels like things are getting back, right? Like things are opening up again. You know, like starting to go travel again, right?
Especially in Texas. In Texas, it's like, I'm sorry. In Texas, it's really easy because they're barely following the rules as is.
Yeah.
So,
like it does feel way different. Like, you know, because luckily I've been able to travel quite a bit. Like I went to Seattle, I went to New York. I live in California. Went to Miami like a few weeks ago. You know, and everywhere is real different. You know, Miami just doesn't care at all. Like even
Miami
like,
didn't have a pandemic.
You can almost forget that it's going on.
Very much so. Like, you know, it's just sort of like, do I have to put a mask? Like, I forgot my mask a few times, and I felt bad. I mean, I got my vaccine, but you know, it's whatever, right?
Right.
Seattle and New York, they're very serious. You have to like show your vaccination card everywhere you go. Like any restaurant you want to go to, you have to show your vaccination card.
Okay.
And I do appreciate that. And then California, like it's like mixed, like where like everyone wears a mask, like even like homeless people.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but there's no like showing your vaccination card except for like at like certain spots. And then Texas, you know, like the nerds wear masks, right?
Yeah, Texas, it's like you'll go to a gas station, they'll say like it'll be on the door like mask recommended.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna hold you to it.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do it.
Or even certain places will say it's mandatory, and people still will come in and out with no masks.
You know, people are just tired of fighting it, and like I'm a little mad about that, but at the same time, it just sort of is what it is. Like where I don't really care to fight this anymore. You know, like luckily, like with this whole vaccination thing, it's just sort of like, okay, do what you want, right? If you don't want to get the vaccine, risk it. If you do, you know, if you don't want to risk it, then you can take the steps, right, to prevent this, hopefully. So it's an interesting time, but at the same time, I am happy that things are opening back up. You know, traveling sort of back on the table again. Starting to plan going internationally again. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Where are you trying to go?
Oh man, I got places. Like I want to go to Rome pretty soon. Leon like invited me, and he said like the thing that we said that we're gonna do is we're gonna do the Jojo's tour. So like Jojo's part 5. Okay. It's like it takes place starting in Naples and it ends in Rome, and he lives in Rome, so he's like, let's do it.
That'll be sick.
Absolutely. I got a friend in the UK. Like he plays American football in the UK. I don't know.
They have some small. Well, they have teams.
Yeah,
they're just not very known.
Yeah,
like the Phoenixes and stuff like that. I think.
Yeah,
do people play there
Jets.
after they play in the NFL? Like,
it's its own league.
Yeah, its own thing.
I know, but like you know how people play basketball in Germany and stuff.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the same thing.
And just dunking on everybody, right?
Yeah. Like Americans will like go over there and, you know,
take it easy, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, want to have some fun, stunt on people.
Live the dream, smurfing,
right?
basically.
Right. Honestly, smurfing on people. And then where else do I want to go? I mean, of course, Japan. Like me and Kyle were planning to go to Japan for the Olympics back in 2020, and then everything shut down. But now, why not go back to Japan? I've always wanted. I want to go to Japan as much as possible.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that recently.
You guys want to go?
Hey, yeah, I'm down. Hell yeah,
dude, let's do it. That'd be the coolest shit.
I want to go with y'all. I still want to go snowboarding with y'all.
The gang's going snowboarding.
Put the GoPro on.
That sounds tight. You know, go on some double acts. I don't know, right?
Yeah, skydiving. You know, we just get everything done.
Do it all, right? Live life while we got it, guys. I mean, now we're about to get to be 30. Crap, you're about to be 30 like in
a couple hours.
Wow. Oh my god.
Wait, shit,
bro.
Yeah, wait, today is the 17th. Oh my god.
Hey.
You know what's funny? Some girl in Australia messaged me on Facebook.
Early,
it was like,
it's like,
happy birthday. I was like, bitch, it's not my birthday. I was like, yo, I'm still young and vibrant.
I forgot. Happy birthday, bro.
Yo, relax. Hey, everyone calm it
an hour
down.
and a half and we'll start doing it.
I'm still young.
We'll sing happy birthday on the podcast.
All right. Oh my gosh, right? And then I'm about to be 30 in a month and a half, so.
Yeah, right now we can still play the We're the Kids of America song.
For after that,
after that, we're cut off.
Right? It's like, you're done, Sam. No, you can't listen to this song.
Yeah, it skips automatically on Spotify.
We're the adults of America. Oh no.
Sad. Let's say it with like a drink.
Man, but you know, I feel good. Like you feel good, right?
Yeah. I feel like I've been 30 for like 10 years. True. I feel like omega aged, but I mean, it's not like in the soul, but like
good.
You know.
Oh yeah.
Good. That's what matters. Like, Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I feel even stronger than ever before, honestly. Like, I mean, how do you feel?
You know me.
Yeah.
My shit's all stats. Like, because of the fighting thing, it's
Yeah.
like we have to keep track of all my numbers. And I was telling my friends this recently. It's like if my cardio is just as good as it was before, if I'm stronger, all my numbers are going up strength wise. If I'm faster, more explosive, I'm like, is my body really getting older here? Like,
well,
it is.
You're still going towards your peak though.
Yeah, but I'm still moving. Yeah, I'm still getting better. So
You
I'm
know,
just like,
I feel like our generation, like the peak has been moved more to the right. You know what I mean? Like where before the peak was like, oh, you're 27 and you got 3 kids and oh, you don't do anything anymore, right?
Yep.
But now I feel like I'm still growing at the way. Yeah, like I remember like looking at my dad's like forearms like when I was younger, and I was just
they're
sort of
massive,
like,
yeah.
and I'm like, I don't think I got
arms.
the massive arms yet, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Like
You gotta earn those.
Yeah, exactly, right. And
it's different, man.
Yeah.
It's definitely different. I was talking to some guys. I can't remember his name specifically, but it doesn't matter.
Uh-huh.
We're talking, and we were just talking about like getting older. And he was like, I think he was 42. He was doing an esports thing. Like he was working in that industry, and he did like designs. That was his thing.
Wow.
And I was just talking to him about it, and I was just like, yeah, man. I'm like, do you feel like you're much older? He's like, I don't feel like I thought I was gonna feel at 42. And I was just like, yeah, I feel
Like in a good way, right?
Yeah, in a good way. He's like, he's like, because he's wearing jeans, hat, like he was just chilling. Looked like a guy that we would have chilled with when,
Yeah.
He's just a little bit older than us. That's it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he was like, yeah, I've got like 2 kids and a wife, but for the most part, we're just like chilling and we play games, we go on trips, we do things. And I'm like, that's the cool shit about getting older in this day and age.
Right? Yeah.
Because in the past, I don't know if you remember Married with Children or any of those shows. That was the standard.
Right.
Like
that guy was probably like 35, right?
Yeah,
And-
it's so depressing.
35, no hair.
So
My man was
miserable.
drinking a beer every day. His
Yeah.
wife would come in and complain about some shit. He'd be like, "Oh, god damn it!" You know what I mean?
I got stressed out just watching that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Like,
yeah.
oh.
And then every other like show like that, My
Yep.
Wife and Kids. What was the George Lopez one, right?
George Lopez.
Everyone loves
George
Raymond.
Lopez, right? Right, you know, like but every show, Full House, you know, just like the adults. Carl Winslow,
Bob Saget was
right?
33 in that show.
Oh man.
That boy was 3 years older than me. He was like a grown man. You know what I mean?
That's
I'm like,
painful, yeah.
whew.
Then again, to be fair, like people like 18 back in that day, right? Like 18, like when they were in the 90s, they look like they were like 30 something, honestly.
Yeah, and then every generation, it seems like people look younger,
Well, I guess
or maybe it's just.
I wouldn't say
I
we're
think
getting.
so. I think so. Like this new generation, they definitely look like kids. Then again, they are kids, but
We don't
they
have to
look younger
grow.
than we looked. You know,
Yes.
that's how I
Yeah,
feel. I think it's
exactly.
like a universal feeling.
I think it's because of the lack of turmoil like there was in the past. I don't think we have to grow. Like the stress isn't there.
that's
Like
true. You're not going out. Did they go outside?
they did. Yeah, they definitely went outside a lot.
Like my sister, unfortunately, didn't go outside.
Were
Sorry
you-
to put her on blast, but you know.
We did, yeah. We
We're the millennials. We're the last generation to experience life before the internet boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just feel bad for the kids today because, I mean, like, they're just inside and there's drama all the time. And then now they're fighting with the world, like, you know, online, right? Just
Yeah.
constantly Twitter battles with each other. You
Man,
know?
Yeah.
pandemic kids, they're gonna be the worst when they
Ugh,
grow
I
up.
feel bad for them.
I don't know. Maybe they'll like grow from it and they'll be a really
I hope so.
top tier. But
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, it's that now us, the millennials, that are raising the pandemic babies, right?
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like when you really think about that, like we actually lived to the point. I remember still, like you remember these things
Yeah.
too. Like you're like, hey
Yeah,
mom,
right?
yeah, you didn't have a phone. You didn't have a phone on
Yeah.
you, and the cool friend had a phone that would like be able to be wireless at his house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know the little blue phone that everyone had that was on the wall. So essentially, I'd be like, hey mom, I'm going to my friend's house. She's like, be back at 6. And I'd just be out in the wild. I'd
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
take off, start cutting through houses. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then you'd be
Yeah.
like, I know this exact path to my friend's house. And you
Uh-huh.
get there, and there's no way your mom can contact you.
Yeah, you're just on
You
your
either
own.
make it home or you're
You
dead.
don't. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And I think just like that, lack of safety net, it's important for kids. Like let them break their legs if they're gonna
Yeah.
do flips in the jungle gym.
Yeah,
let them.
honestly, right, yeah.
Like it makes them better.
Yeah.
But-
I that's what I'm wondering. I hope, like when we have kids, right? Like, we'll let that happen, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get
will we let
a
them-
chip implanted so I can so I know where they're at. Hey man, I don't want my kid to end up on some fucking bottle as like a missing child.
True.
I'm gonna
I
be
don't
like,
want mine
bottle.
either, right? But at
Yeah.
the same time, I'm hoping to like instill in them like enough hardiness, right?
Yeah,
Like-
some
like a
survival
mix.
instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they can,
Like hopefully Gen Z is just the weakest gen because like they just they didn't get to go outside, whereas like our kids will be like, okay, they got outside and had technology, right?
Yeah,
Right.
That's what I'm hoping.
As the quote,
Like a mix,
Gen
right?
Z's the weakest gen.
Yeah, right. It's like you guys suck and it sucks to be y'all, but like our kids are gonna be great.
Yeah. It's cool. And also for us, we did get to go through that period of time when cable TV was still a thing.
Yeah.
So we still bond over things that
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
had to watch together.
That's something like I wish that kids had that today. Now there's too many options.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's been a common topic that we've talked about is like a common core of stuff to talk about.
Yes.
Like current events are one thing, but like if you have a show that everyone watches, if you have
We had
you know,
Tsunami.
Yeah.
we had that.
Everyone knows Cowboy. Like we could say, if you go to an anime convention, you say
Although
Cowboy
you did.
Bebop. He barely belongs to the anime convention. I'm
I
honest.
don't.
That's
I
true.
honestly,
He's
That's
a
true.
fraud.
That's
I feel
fair.
like-
but you did have like
I
the
secondhand.
computer generation
Yes,
though, right?
yes,
Like
I
whereas
had-
I wish I was on that, but like I got banned from the family computer.
for reasons that we're not going to talk about on the
Too
podcast.
much porn.
The same reason that got him fucked up right now. But
I keep wondering. Low key, I do wonder about that. Although I feel pretty good. I do feel like pretty good about like where I'm at. Like I'm not sure if like porn at a young age had fucked me up. Like,
Oh.
like
And that's one thing. We're going to change gears here to
Yeah,
talk
right.
about Kanye.
Right,
Kanye
yeah.
talks about his porn addiction.
Hey, I'm interested because I didn't listen to the interview, but like I
Bro, there
was
was 4
interested.
hours
Yeah, that's
of
why I didn't listen to
interview.
it.
I
Yeah.
saw an hour and a half of the interview.
But that
Nice.
was like the second half. That was like
it was like the second. When you look up Kanye interview,
Yeah.
it's the
It's at
second
part 2,
video.
right?
yeah, and it's got like less views, but that's like the spicy stuff. Like he's
Oh.
already drinking, he's already got
He's
like all
returned,
the
right.
normal stuff out of his
Oh,
system,
man.
and he's talking about his wild shit.
Oh, man,
But
yeah.
I don't know. I was like, after that first one was 3 hours,
Yeah.
and I was like, whenever my team is up at halftime, that's how I felt. I'm like, Kanye's doing well.
Uh-huh.
I feel good about this. And then
And then he went off.
and they showed like some clips of like the second half that you watched, and I was like, oh no, this looks so bad.
And
Like
I
he's-
saw clips of that.
he
That
has-
bothered me. I was like, I'm not sure if I want to watch this. Like,
he's got like that mode where he's like yelling. He's like, you ain't got the answers, sway mode.
I feel like he's got a lot to say and he gets frustrated.
Yeah, but-
because I get like that too. I get ranty.
Yeah.
I get ranty, and luckily not everyone has to hear it. So it's just whoever's in my vicinity.
Right.
But it's like I definitely think he just got things on his mind. He doesn't feel like he knows how to express it. So he's just like
But
fucking,
I think he was good this time. I like he was in that mode, and I was scared at first, but he did well, and I think he represented his ideas well.
Good.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that's the best we can expect. Is like he has these thoughts and he tries to translate it into human language, and whenever he does it poorly, it sounds really bad.
Uh-huh.
But whenever he does it well, then it's like it makes you think.
Because I've only seen clips and like how he was saying like Big Sean.
Oh,
like
yeah.
How he said he wasn't a backpack rapper. Like he doesn't like that past of his.
I think
I got through that part. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
one
didn't
of
see
the-
the Big Sean part, but I remember the backpack rapper part.
one
That
of
was
the big
funny.
drama points was people that kind of turned their back on him whenever he ran for president, whenever he got into politics. I think he really has a grudge against those people
Yeah.
that like abandoned him at that point.
But at the
I
same
know-
time, it's like it's just so off, right? Like,
I know, but if you think about
Yeah.
Pusha T, he didn't abandon him. He's like, Kanye's my guy. He's doing his own thing. I'm not going to talk about that. And I think that's that's
the
what
way.
friends would
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
And if you abandon him, like what Common or Big Sean or whatever, they said, oh, Kanye's whack or whatever.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
that's
That
Did
makes
they
sense.
say? Did they say that?
I think it was equivalent to that.
Hmm.
Whatever the political, mumbo jumbo that people say.
like I'm
Where
a
it's like,
distance
oh.
myself from Kanye at this
Right.
point,
Oh,
right?
man.
Yeah, people ask him, up
'Cause
front, like
I didn't blame that. At least like me, but then at the same time, how would I feel like if my friends were like, "Hey guys," but then again,
It'd be one thing if I was just like, okay, Godswill running for president, and me and Godswill don't talk to each other on a constant. Like I'm like,
Right.
we'll say I'm in Texas, you're still in California. It's
Yeah.
been years.
Yeah.
You're running for president, and I'm just like, someone asked me like, yo, how do you feel about Godswill running for president? And I was just like, I don't know if I can vote for him just because I don't know what his where he's at.
Yeah.
Or where his stances are just yet. It's kind of late in the race type shit. Like I take this seriously, and I just
Right.
yeah,
That'd be one way to say it.
Yes.
But I think
He
if
took
it was
it.
just like, hey, this nigga off his rocker.
yeah, right.
Fuck that guy. You know what I mean? I don't know how it sounded, but it could be taken. I could see why you'd be hurt, especially if it's someone that you brought on. Because Pusha T is someone he's pushed forever.
Right. And all these guys he kind of put on.
Yeah.
Big Sean, he definitely put on.
Yeah.
So I could see why he'd feel betrayed.
And I think loyalty is one of his highest, kind of measures of people.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're not loyal, then he has no respect for
Yeah,
you.
he's been through like
I feel
so
that.
much like ups and downs and drama, and it's just so weird to back it all. I mean, I sort of don't blame it personally.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I get it. This whole Kanye story is still unfolding like so much more, right?
Yeah, and he's all about the money now. I mean, he talks about it, but I think
Yeah, being a billionaire and all
how
right.
it kind of validates what he's saying. And that's his main argument is like, how would I be this successful if what I'm saying is totally whack?
True. Although it's sort of because like there's another video, like a video I sent you like earlier. I wish I did send you part one.
Oh yeah, the analysis. I think I watched both of them.
All right, good.
Yeah, whenever it comes to Kanye, I feel like I want to be an expert.
Yeah, which I appreciate.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, his story is so interesting for sure.
Yeah, and how people respond to it. It's so easy to like point at him and say, "Oh, this dude is crazy. He's just saying his own shit," but it works, and that's why it's so interesting to people.
What do you mean? What do you mean it works? I'm sorry.
Like
We're still talking about him, right?
Like
well, I think
it's stuff that he puts out like fashion wise. If we just look at that, people thought he was just totally out of his lane when he's doing fashion. But now he's working with the biggest labels. He got a $1 billion deal with Gap. That's how he got all his money.
Right, where he started off in the first place doing retail, right?
Yeah, it was fat, and it like raised their stock price. And so like people are still making deals with him
relevant,
despite this canceling pressure on him.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking as like you might be right. There's a good chance you are, and I was just thinking about it because I was just like, we talk about him because he makes the music he makes, which is like, and his outside antics are intriguing to people.
Yes,
but it's like I wouldn't say it's because he's correct. That's why people are listening to him.
Right.
So I would he's still winning though. Like the fact that like, yeah, I mean like something he's doing is still working. That he's still relevant so much so. Even after like people like pan his albums or say his fashion's crazy or say that like he's crazy for getting into politics, right? He's still so relevant that we still care about what he has to say, right?
Yeah,
I care about him.
He's still making so much money, and he's people are still trying to buy Yeezys and such, right? I mean, something's working, right?
And he
absolutely, but echo chambers are a motherfucker, especially when you're at that level of the game. Yeah. So I'd never want anyone to believe it
like,
because you're successful.
Objectively, objectively correct, but like I mean, also it's just sort of like because
he was saying some. I guess you hadn't seen the interview completely, but he was saying some weird shit.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I bet. Yeah, that's why I didn't watch it because I just saw clips. But
there's
at the same
a few things where it's like talking about different Hebrew tribes and stuff, and he's like, I don't know. It's these things that
I remember he said black people are Jewish too, and he's like, we're the chosen people, and he started going into stuff like that.
Are some African groups that are Jewish? They're two separate.
I'm not mad at any of the stuff he was saying,
but yeah, it's probably conspiracy theory level.
A lot of it turned into like Shaka Zulu type shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe, man, maybe. Like, did you research this? Did you ask anyone about this?
There's a few things like that. I think that really kind of weakens his message.
Yeah, absolutely.
The real message he's trying to say is his peers are like Elon Musk and like Walt Disney, and that's his old thing where he's like, what did he say? Picasso's dead. Like it's that whole rant, but he said it way better this time.
Okay.
And I think he's got a good point where he's like this cultural influence and stuff that he thinks up ends up being real in so many different lives.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the modern Walt Disney.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yep.
Wow, crazy.
And he's saying like how different artists made it possible for him to be who he is, like Prince and like Michael Jackson. How he's like
they're iconoclastic for sure.
Yeah, and he's been able to expand into this world of business and fashion. And he's saying that he's trying to make it possible for other people to expand into like entrepreneurship.
Oh, that's one thing I do wonder about. Like, whereas, like, also like Jay-Z sort of said the same thing too, right?
Right.
And it's just sort of like, all right, like definitely like for yourself, you're doing that. Like, hopefully you really are trying to do this for other people too, right?
Right.
Like, where so like I definitely believe that like he's trying to break out that glass ceiling, right? And like trying to really define himself. But when he starts saying it's for everybody else, that's when I'm like,
I'm like, bro, you bought that little thing over there for $250.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I what happened to like I'm for the people? Yeah, that little toy he has right here.
Yeah. So this was like a product that I don't know if he was like the main developer for it, but his team put their name on it, and it was like developed by a third party, and it's a stem player, which it lights up. I'm not sure.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
but what it does, I guess give him a heads up what it does.
So it'll play like it comes built in with the album Donda.
Yeah.
nice. Looks like a sand dollar type of deal.
So you can play music, you can download music to it, and you can turn the vocals down, turn them up, the bass. You can control all that stuff from there. Like while you're just in your car, there's an aux for it and everything. It's a cool concept, and I swear, like, if I was in California and getting high, I would really think that is cool.
Because it lights up.
I'd just be messing with it. Be like, change the music, change the audio. It's all cool, but like $250, Kanye?
Yeah. But it's one of those things where I'm like...
if you're serious about it, too. Like, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, but then again, I agree what you mean. Like, whereas, like, if this is for the people, right?
Yes, yeah, right. I'm like... Because who was it? Well, Shaq. Shaq was for the people. Shaq made shoes for the people. Now, here's the problem.
Like Walmart shoes, right?
He made Payless shoes. I remember grabbing them and getting made fun of as a kid. But...
Starberries were dope, though. relatively.
Strawberries were actually
for $20
for what they were. Yes.
Yeah.
My thing is like, there's something to be learned here because I was gonna say Shaq was for the people and Shaq made those shoes, but Shaq's shoes never took off to the fame that Kanye's shoes did.
Yeah.
The recognition, I'll say that, because they were so cheap.
Yeah.
But Shaq made them specifically so kids could afford them, and I love Shaq for that. That's a baller ass move. Like that'll be in my brain forever. Like he's a good dude for doing that. Now, from a business standpoint, what Kanye's doing is better because everyone understands, like marketing wise, if you add value to something, if you charge a price, people associate price with value immediately.
Yeah, and if you make it scarce, it goes even higher.
His shoes look kind. Please don't hate me, Kanye.
He's gonna watch this. He's gonna be like,
Hey, someday
on the list, bro.
Someday.
To be fair, I mean, honestly, like I'm still like very iffy on these shoes. If someone gave me these shoes, like I would have to be like, oh my god.
He's like, oh, my birthday's coming up, boys. So hey,
I'm turning 30.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's like they're still too futuristic for me, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like in 2025, right? Then I'll be like, oh yeah, everyone's wearing that or whatever, right?
Yeah, I see it as like a small investment
adopters
in the brand, where it's like, you know, I don't. This is not worth $250.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, you know, you're almost paying for the R&D. You're supporting the idea of like cool devices. I like that.
Yeah.
You want more of this to come out?
Yeah, this is an idea that I came up with like, you know, 10 years ago. I'm sure a lot of other people had, but someone actually made it. And so
Right.
I'll pay them respect by buying it and kind of supporting that idea of new shit coming out.
Yeah,
That's cool.
That's a good point.
And it's like, you know, I haven't bought a Kanye album in a while. Like,
I mean, you haven't had to.
I hadn't had to.
Yeah.
So I think supporting artists like by buying merch, by buying, you know, stuff like this is another way to kind of put your money where your mouth is and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can feel that.
Because artists are making most of their money off of tours now, right?
Yeah,
Like,
concerts.
everyone's just
those
downloading
can do
shit.
that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Like it's only starting to come back right now.
Right.
You know, I really do hope that Kanye is for the people because I mean, like when he started, it was very evident, right?
Right.
And it feels like he's lost his way since he's lost the important people in his life, like his mom, or like his long-time fiance, right? And you know, like that clip I was talking about, that sort of documentary on his life, or at least that take on his life,
Yeah.
right? Showing like how he went after Kim Kardashian, right?
sorry.
Like how he's.
Is that going to get picked up or are we good?
I mean,
these
it's okay.
Or
Yeah,
like
right.
it's like local.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
So,
it should be good.
Yeah. There's also that fan, so don't worry. Anyways.
But yeah, I think the analysis was it definitely had an angle to it, especially when he started talking about Dave Chappelle and putting them in the same group where he's saying they lost their way, and he's judging all the new stuff as like, you know, the wrong stuff. And I think that's a little bit unfair.
Wait, who's judging the new stuff as the...
So there's
It
guy,
was this...
there's a like a long
like a video essay.
like a video essay about like Kanye's life, right? And there's a 2-part FD signifier. You know, like in
shout out to him. We'll link it, I guess.
Honestly, right? Like I liked how he brought it up because like he was like a long time fan of Kanye West. You know, starting from the beginning of like where he started as a producer to like where he is now, like where he talked about Kanye being like a sort of wrestler, you know, like being the hero, you know, face type of guy at first, now becoming the heel. You know, like who's doing his own thing and sort of like spurning like the old time fans, the long time fans, and sort of becoming like a villain, like in sort of day to day, you know, like the partnership with Trump and, you know, sort of, you know, making this interesting music like to his own like vibe, but like not really like listening to like old fans or whatever, I guess, you know. So
And I think a big part of it he played was those clips where he was really manic. Like this dude was in an episode and all these TMZ clips, and he's like, you know, in the camera, in like the drama angle, and he's saying stuff to these TMZ guys, and they're all looking at each other like, "Oh, this dude is."
Although
wild.
those were big moments, though, right?
They were, and they're iconic. But I still think it's not fair to judge him like that. Like that's who he is, you know, because that's like a very, you know, amplified moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Although, yeah, I see what you mean.
Especially when he starts talking about stuff that he's not like that he feels. Like I know during the Donda tour, he was talking about, you know, slavery a bunch of different ways, and I feel like that was a lot of information that he was thinking and like a lot of his feeling mixed in, and not really the facts that people were interpreting it as. So it's like he's not talking about, you know, these things are facts like people disagree with. I'm not sure if that
I think he went
makes
back to TMZ and he kind of
Tried
went
to
over
write
that. Yeah, he tried to correct. Or was it TMZ or maybe it was Joe Rogan? That was one of those, like a long time ago, like a year and a half ago. He went to and he talked to and he kind of straightened that out.
Okay, that's good.
I remember that. And I remember hearing it and being like, that sounds better
and it's
than the way it was presented the first time.
It's
the
so
first
hard
time they were
to
like,
do, man. To like straighten stuff like that out. I feel like if you are just on a rant and then like he feels like that wasn't him or something, to be like apologizing for that Kanye.
I mean, unfortunately, that sort of is what you are. What you put out, what you say, what you type, whatever you do.
That is true.
That is who you are. Like it is great to give someone the benefit of the doubt. Be like, that's not what you meant.
Right.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like whatever you say and what you do, your actions is what you are. Right.
That's a hard one.
It is. Like I mean, I love Kanye, right? Because we love Kanye, we give him that extra time, right? I mean, like, is Kanye not like the person who interrupted Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
we understand why he did it, right? We understand that.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, it's still a dickhead move, isn't it?
I think he talked about a lot. I mean, because that's a big point in like music history, right?
It is a huge moment, right? Like it's something we all still talk about, and still affecting Taylor Swift to this day, right? And Taylor Swift impacts millions upon millions of people, right?
Yeah.
So, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's hard for me to 100% agree because I know what you're saying. It makes sense. But then there's like the whole, I know this sounds, I don't want to get into this too far, but like the cancel culture thing, right? Because like then we have people who say things that they're like, I'm saying this, and then people are just like, I can't believe he said this, and they interpret it in the most negative way possible.
Like,
and I'm like, bro, he didn't mean everyone. He meant this.
For sure. Like, 'cause I definitely get that part. Like, whereas like people will love to misconstrue what someone said, right?
Yeah.
But also is like, well, there is also the objective, like, this is what happened too, right?
Yeah.
It's like, don't get me wrong. It's like, I understand why he did that to Taylor Swift, right? But he still did that to Taylor Swift, right?
Right. In that situation, you're absolutely right.
Right.
It was just, I think there was something you said about your actions. Yeah, it was the actions. As far as like saying things, I took that as an action, and I was like, sometimes you're saying things and people just misconstrue it.
Well, like it just sort of like it makes me think of like the status, like stat points for Kanye. Unfortunately, his wisdom's not super high. Like he's wise.
I think it's the opposite. I think
like he's wise, but also at the same time, like wisdom is also like knowing how to like construe your actions at the point, right?
And I don't think you can get that high of wisdom without making some mistakes, like big mistakes.
Yeah.
I feel like he has.
I think you might be tying that into success. Success is where risk is taken. Like generally, in my eyes, like I think wisdom. He kind of fluctuates depending on his mood. Possibly that might be something that he's dealing with on his own. I don't know. I'm not trying to diagnose this or anything. But also when it comes to like success, if we're talking about success, then the risk is everything because that's how you get to those higher levels. You have to take those risks.
Yeah.
Whether it's buying an LLC for a business or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And he does that. He constantly pushes his own boundaries. Like, oh, these are my fans. I'm going to make a song over here now. Oh, I let black people like me. I'm going to make this song over here that's only for like, it's weird. And I mean, it's been working for him.
But I think a little bit of what I was saying about wisdom is being able to think the wrong like ideas and then fix that. And I think he's been down that road where like, so a lot of people are really set in their ideas and how they think the world works,
right? And
if you're not willing to experiment with what does and what doesn't work and how people really are, then you can't really get that high of wisdom.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because I'm thinking like, what does wisdom equal? There's like a sort of equation of sorts, right? Because like there's like a bravado that like, or like a sort of bravery, I guess, that like Kanye has, right?
Yeah.
Like no doubt about that, right? I guess I have more to learn and think about like what this means in a way, but at the same time, I would say Kanye has done some sort of unwise things in a way.
Oh,
like,
definitely. Yeah,
right? Like where,
no doubt.
I'm not saying that like, oh, he should be perfect. He shouldn't try anything, right? And it's sort of like, okay, what do you say about like what you do? Especially like this latest interview, right? Is like, what does he say about those things that he has done in the past, right?
He talks about it, in depth, and I liked his answers. I'm not sure if they're generally accepted, but he was saying like, I mean, it's hard to remember and also interpret
everything
stuff that he was saying. Yeah. But I mean, he had this like artist mindset where he's like, my goal in life is to, create dope shit. Yeah. And if, people get interrupted in the process, then that's just how it is.
That's a true artiste mentality for sure, right?
Yeah.
Man.
I like it. Honestly, that's pretty cool.
I mean, true. I mean, I appreciate him like doing these things, and I mean, like, I don't blame people who say they don't like him at this point,
Yeah.
It's like...
I think it's a fun conversation to have.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, like, he definitely keeps things very, moving, and like, I mean, we're gonna be talking about him for decades to come, you know, like.
And I think we need people like him to kind of like push back against this how easy it is to cancel somebody. Because when it comes down to the canceling idea, I know we talked about it in depth before, but it comes down to how, you know, disagreeing with someone and people saying, you know, dumb stuff, that translates to them losing their livelihood. And I think that's what we need to, you know, kind of look at.
For me with canceling, like, because like as a bigger thing about canceling, one thing, okay, so like there's multiple like aspects I see about it. One, I hate it when people like cherry pick, you know, like, oh, you said this 10 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah, you know, it's just sort of like, especially like when everybody else was sort of saying the same thing too, and it's just sort of like, wait, that's a grounds to cancel somebody, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to say, and I said this before, I was talking to one of my friends about it, but people forget all the time that there was a game that we played being millennials. It's called Smear the Queer. We played this game in junior high and shit like that. I don't think people remember that. It was like junior high, elementary. That what is that? For me, that's 2005.
Yeah, but that's like, it's this kid mentality. If someone's different, we're gonna bully them.
Right. We didn't actually have anything against gay people at all.
I mean, but back then we did, but especially like in Texas, right? But now it's like in the last 5 years, I would say, is like when we've started to have more an enlightened mentality. Right? That's what I'm thinking.
Now, that is true. That is absolutely true. So for me, I know for me at least, I didn't have anything against gay people just because I was in contact with the one that I was aware of, or two. But
I mean, I'm just thinking Texas culture as a whole. It's like, unfortunately, like the culture as a whole had a thing against LGBT.
Oh yeah, I wasn't trying to. I was trying to single out anybody.
You individually, you were cool.
But my thing was, I still played the game and didn't even think twice about it.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, if someone were to then rate something from my past and be like, "What about this?"
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna say? Like, I wasn't thinking about it like that. You know what I mean? Same thing with the word retard in the past. Like, that was said a lot.
It was. And I think that's one thing where people tell you, "Oh, do better." And if someone is doing better, I think we let them.
6 years removed. You're doing better.
Like, and then the other thing with cancel culture that like bothers me a lot is that like even if someone does mess up, unless it was like a cardinal like mess up, you killed somebody, right? Like you raped somebody, right?
That's
you know, like
topical
things
with
that
this,
we know that like
trial.
have been bad forever, right?
Right.
There's not really a chance for people to grow otherwise or to redeem themselves outside. You know, it's like, okay, maybe you said. You called someone a faggot, but you didn't know you're from deep south or something like that, right? Like where that's just sort of generally said still, right? But now everyone is like, rah, you know, and that, I think like that first reaction is, you know, is warranted.
Right.
But then there's no chance to like redeem yourself or to get better from that, right?
Yeah.
People will always sort of second guess what your intentions are. Your intention is to get better and to get back into society, right?
Yeah. And all these things are fine with people accusing you of stuff. I mean, that's normal.
Yes.
And like to even flame people online for what they said or what they did, that's fine. But I think where it really becomes a problem is when people start getting fired, like journalists that have been, you know, journalists for years, they get fired for something totally arbitrary. And like, you know, people are scared to cover the news now.
Yeah.
And I think these companies that their first instinct is to fire someone whenever they're at the least threatened with some kind of cancellation. I think that's where we need to stop it and have, you know, a little bit of loyalty, like we were saying before. We're stick up for these people whenever they're under attack. Yeah. And don't just give in.
It's a weird mix too. It's a weird mix because like I sort of like appreciate that we can have some people fired.
Right.
But also it sort of sucks in a way, you know, like
for certain roles, it makes sense.
certain things, right?
Yeah.
For example, like, you know, Activision is going through its shit, right?
Right. Yeah.
Blizzard and like they
came out today, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, unfortunately, like we've seen the cases of like Blizzard, like sort of being like, oh, we don't want to fire people, you know, like being like last course of action firing a person, right?
Right.
Versus like whereas like I've been seeing like some people that like have done like, you know, like they're recording themselves doing racist mean things to, you know, like they're anti-maskers, right?
Yeah. And
then like people have retaliated by like talking to their jobs, livelihoods, right? And I do wonder, is like, is that too much, or like what's like the level of like what is like a good level of like make, you know, like doing something to that person, right? Like,
yeah,
especially like when these people like have like are being violent and thinking that like society is just gonna like be on, you know, protecting them, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to, you know, these decision makers at companies, and they have to, just do the right thing. It's so hard to have a general rule. I mean, if people are working, based on fear, like, oh, we need to, despite me thinking this guy doesn't deserve to be fired, I have to fire him anyway. Or someone saying, I'm not going to fire him despite me thinking he's a terrible person.
Let's like break it down then, because that was a really cool question in general.
Yeah.
So when it comes to business, let's say you run a business and a guy, it's brought to your attention that this guy that you have two spots below you is racist.
Right.
Some kid tells you that, comes to your office like, that guy right there is a bigot and he does this and he called me my friends, whatever. Well, okay, he's one of your better workers. So,
right.
But like, does that matter? Do you just fire him? Because like, that he has his own family. And that family, technically right now, that family has like those little girls. They have nothing to do with any of this.
Right. And they're going to be affected.
They will be affected now.
Because for me, at least the way I think about this is like investigations need to be had. And then like, I think firing like is on the table, but not necessarily like the first thing that has to happen unless like the level is like up there like that. You know what I mean? Like, for example, someone said that like that guy said something racist, right? Let's look at like what actually happened, right?
We can't have that racism in the company, right?
Yeah, right. And it's like, okay, that guy, like, for example, is this guy burning crosses, like on, like a Ku Klux Klan level?
How egregious is this?
Right. But then like, and then like if it, like at least to me and the way I'm thinking is like, there should be like other things that can be done other than just firing person,
right?
Like, based on the level of what happened, right? Like there's like dock pay suspension, there's transferring, but
maybe we this is a utopia.
Yeah,
but maybe we pay for therapy, and this person starts like getting some kind of like social therapy.
Yeah, I mean, it depends.
Because they're wrong. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, they're not right.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. But it's like we could just fire them. But we've talked about this before, and my stance on this.
Only makes them worse, right? Like
they recede
chambers, right?
And what they're gonna do is they're gonna go home. Then they're gonna call their racist friends and tell them how how these shills destroyed my job, and now I get out and I have a job, and now we're about to go on food stamps, and then they're just gonna be more mad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then they go into, and they're not gonna. No one's gonna hear about that. They're just gonna be with their friends, getting worse, and then they might kill somebody or do something. I don't know how that elevates. But
I think you're totally right. Another effect too is people that are wrong. They're not gonna come forward with that. They're not gonna have a conversation with anyone.
They definitely won't like black people now.
Yeah. And so like you're just making people more and more wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is like a more nuclear option, but at the same time, like I do appreciate that there's things being done. It's like I do appreciate like when the cancel culture, like honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it's like I do appreciate, like it does feel like a little cathartic, right. But like I don't think is the best thing. Like as you just said, like where like we're going so quickly to that, to ruin people's lives, and it only just makes them like get worse and worse, right? And it's not really solving the problem. Like we're gonna have to keep dealing with this and like only worse, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Then they're probably gonna complain to their kids about it, and then the kids are, there's just a lot that could happen.
Right.
A lot of butterfly effects.
A lot of,
yeah.
I don't think, that's not a reason to not fire somebody,
right.
But at the same time, it's like
because it can affect your business
about it, right? Yeah. Like
there's just better options.
Yeah, like at least one, like because like before, like before 10 years ago, nothing was being done about these guys, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was really bad.
Sexism in the workplace was crazy, even in the 90s.
It is what it is, right? Yeah, I mean, so it's sort of nice to see something getting done, but at the same time, it is like, oh crap, like what exactly is it that we should do, right? And I think it is sort of disheartening to see this getting so weaponized in that sense, right?
Right. I think the power aspect of it is huge because you're giving all this, ability to people on the internet that are anonymous.
Yeah.
And I think the power dynamics are really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
These algorithms that are, pushing these controversial things to the front, and then companies that want to, shut that down as soon as possible.
Yeah. And it's weird because I feel like the ones that are the loudest are generally not they're not the most well read. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
the arguments are not.
They say crazy things. It's always like it starts with some crazy comment like, has anyone ever thought that maybe this is whatever? And then I'm like, no, because it's not that big a deal. It's not that crucial.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a 16-year-old. You don't know it's Twitter. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's a 13-year-old just making an account and just saying shit because whatever.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what kind of adult thinks like this? Like, what kind of adult takes this that seriously?
I mean, honestly, there's lots of people out there, right? So
you're right.
Like, unfortunately, you can't say adults are all just better once you get to be 30, right?
Right.
Unfortunately not, right?
I want to surmise like a lot of these people are just children. at like 18, 17, kids who are going through college, who are just figuring things out, and they're just like, they have time to be infuriated by things that just aren't overall that impactful.
I mean, I feel like it's sort of generational at this point right now, you know, like where, and like, I mean, I'm happy that we're starting to talk about this. I feel bad for the people that, you know, have been chopped off, especially like when, you know, maybe it's not as bad of what they might have, you know, allegedly done or whatever, right?
Right.
I don't have examples, but at the same time, like, this is like sort of transforming culture now, right? We're having this conversation because this has happened, right?
Right.
And firing people just seems too blunt of an option right now, you know, like it's just too harsh right now, right?
Right.
Things will change because, I mean, we're talking about this right now, right? Hopefully this is going to become more of a topic that people talk about more, right? But, you know, it sucks for the people right now. Hopefully, like, by the time, you know, in the next few years, we will have understand or refined this a lot better, right? Like, whereas, like, what are we actually trying to do?
Better answers here.
Yeah, you know?
We're trying to reform them. We're not, it's like prison. You don't want to just put them in a hole and be like, go sit there and think about what you've done. You want to fix the problem.
Right? Like, now we're just starting to talk about prison reform, right?
Thank God.
Whereas before we were all, like,
overdue.
and it just started changing, like, what prison's supposed to be, at least in America. I don't know, like, how the rest of the world's been. But, you know, everyone's just like, okay, just put them in a hole. Don't worry about them. And then when they get out, then the punishment continues, right? Now we're just starting to talk about, like, okay, maybe we should, like, try to help, you know, people who got out of jail. Maybe, you know, we should try to rethink about, like, what prison means, right? Maybe we shouldn't just jail drug, you know, convictions or whatever, right?
Right.
We're starting to change this, but it's, you know, there's so much work to be done, and it sucks for the people before and, you know, sort of currently now. You know, the current now is the experiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I feel like a lot of this is a huge experiment.
Yeah.
It's like a social experiment on all these billions of people.
Yeah.
Where we're just figuring out, you know, because our software as humans, like, it's not up to date with the technology.
Not supposed to be keeping up with all this shit.
We're getting like the hardest update.
Right, like this is the current stuff. I mean, hopefully, like in the next 50 years, they're like, oh man, what were they thinking back then, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, right. And hopefully that means we got better. we saved the Earth and we did all these things, right? Or at least we're on the moon or, you know, different planets, or we figured something out, right? That we're still alive, right? And we're better, more utopic people, right? Like we figured more things out, right? Hopefully.
It's like those memes, if the world, you know, the world if.
Right. Memes if it's World War III, memes if World War III didn't happen, right?
Yeah. Let's go to the second folder.
Oh, man, right? But, you know, we got a lot to go, and I'm happy that we're having this conversation, you know?
Yeah, the current state of things are, I mean, it seems bad on the surface, but I think deep down it's getting good for a lot of people.
Absolutely. I mean, just as we said, LGBT never had this type of sway ever before, right? Like, and I think people need to, like, remember that. Not say that, like, oh, we did it, we solved, you know, transphobia, homophobia, but at the same time, it's like, okay, let's also, like, be realistic about where it is, because also the rest of the world still suffering, right? Yeah. Like, only in America, really, that, like, we get to, like, have this conversation.
Which is, like, I think that's that Maslow's hierarchy of needs thing, right?
Yeah.
Because,
100%.
once you get to once you have all your base things met, then you start working about psychology. Like, that becomes your new focus, your new turmoil, essentially. Because turmoil initially starts off as, you know, shelter.
Survival.
Exactly. And then it turns into social things. And then it gets to the next level of just, like, your own personal. And I think that's where a lot of the leftist ideologies comes from, where it's like you're doing so well for yourself, you're a kid that's just going to college on your mom's money, and then turns into like, what about all these things? And we're like, yo,
which is good, but
they
at the
are
same time,
fantastic.
like, we need to be, like, realistic about, like, how we're going about these problems.
The progression,
you know?
social progression is amazing. It's needed because our country's been in a shithole for a long time. I think things just need to be moving within pace. I don't know how to explain it, really.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
There has to be answers. It can't just be like
you can't just open these wounds without.
You can't just be like, kill all these people.
Yeah,
get them out of here. Like the things.
I mean, you could. You really could, though.
You could.
For centuries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're high up enough, it's just like, kill all these people. Oh, wait, no, my lord. You know, and just
right.
And I think
that's
like
true.
you're saying, we're kind of a petri dish where all this culture is getting cooked up.
Yeah.
And like the world looks to us for the answers for these problems once they get to that point where they start having these problems.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know,
America, like, has this ever happened? Like, where millions upon millions of people of different cultures and generations, like, have been able to, especially now with the internet.
Yeah. 100% on the internet. I think the American problems become everyone's problems.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you talk to people from, like, you know, other places, they all have they're getting forced to understand our problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I mean, eventually everyone's going to have similar ones.
Yeah. I think nations are sort of starting to break down too, right?
Yeah.
It's not as homogenous as it used to be, and like now you're aware at least of the other parts of the world, right?
Yeah, and you can be friends with people. I mean, they're a lot more like us than I thought as a kid, at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what we got. Although we got to start solving some problems right now, especially like when it comes to the freaking world, right? The climate, and it's sort of scary to think about we only have so much more time before the Earth is just overheat and just can't stop it.
That is the weirdest thing.
How do you feel about that?
So what they gave us initially, I remember they gave us 12 years before some catastrophe type shit would happen, and that was a year ago.
Yeah.
So we're on that time. If we're really going by that, ice caps and things are definitely melting. That's actually happening. Water levels are rising. That is really happening. That could cause a problem because polar bears won't be able to live anywhere, so we're gonna lose those in a couple of years, most likely.
Polar bears, really?
Yeah. Honestly, they live on the ice. They don't live in the water. So it's if the ice melts,
they're gone.
Yeah. Or they kill each other, and then they're all gone anyway because it's getting smaller.
And all these places on Earth are going to be uninhabitable. Mm-hmm. I mean, on the coast and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be no New Orleans, no.
But then
all
also
those places,
more extreme weather everywhere too.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And if the equator works and everything else, it's already hotter around those areas.
Yeah.
That'll just become more exacerbated. Those animals probably won't be able to live there. They'll probably have to shift to the north. I mean, that means those animals that can't leave the island, the ones that can't move, they either adapt or they die. And adaptation takes, generally, depending on what kind of animal you are, years.
Right.
Not all pigs. We can't just adapt in a couple weeks.
And plants, too, like crops. They can't grow certain wine in certain places. They can't grow, certain rice and wheat and stuff where they used to. It's going to be a pinch. I think we're going to live through, the highest population in humans' history. I think it's going to start going down after.
Yeah.
Because imagine, it'd be
we're not going to be able to sustain it.
People aren't starting to have babies, at this point, and
all the growth is coming from these developing countries, and once they develop or once they realize their land's going to be run over by water soon. I mean, it's going to be
the islands.
Yeah.
All those islands are going to be pretty much messed up.
I'm an island boy. Sorry. I didn't mean to. It's just in my head.
Now, if it keeps getting hotter. Just imagine.
I'm a desert boy.
The Africans will be all right for a while, actually.
Yeah, a lot of the world's going to benefit. Like Alaska, Russia. Their land's going to be more useful now.
Yeah, because it'll start shifting. The heat from the equator will start moving upward.
Yeah,
most likely.
I heard that ice in Siberia was trapping methane, and now that's getting
the permafrost.
Yeah.
So,
dude, every piece of news I hear is just such a
doom and gloom.
Yeah.
It's it's getting worse, and it's going to get worse every year forever, and it's never going to stop.
No, it was cool.
It was cool while it lasted.
It was a year and a half ago. They were talking about. I was telling one of my friends about it. They found these ruins in the Arctic, and that was cool shit.
Yeah.
Or Antarctica.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, oh, there's these ruins. They were talking around. They're like, yeah, this is crazy because we didn't know people would even be around this area. But and as the scientists keep waiting for it to melt, and they're like, this is a bad thing.
However,
it's definitely, we shouldn't be able to see this, but it's cool because we're learning.
It's gonna unearth some curse, some mummies were
return
in there, right?
Return the slab type shit.
Right, yeah.
Those aliens from the sci-fi movie.
Yeah, right.
The Amazon one.
I'm free. The curse that was.
Watch it be some Cthulhu temple type shit.
Yeah,
my god,
I can imagine it.
Oh my god, I heard in Egypt, what's happening right now is that they're having such crazy weather up in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
It actually just unearthed a lot of scorpions.
They're
having a scorpion plague that's
literally
actually
a plague.
Yeah, so it's just yikes.
Holy fuck.
I know,
that's
right?
really yikes.
Yeah, news this week. So yeah, doom news. Yay, but you guys want to change to something more positive? I don't know what the answers are. I hope that people know what the answers are. And
I think we got to scale down a lot of things as humans. And we're definitely living through a golden age. I think in hindsight,
don't we have a nation
we're
that's
happy now,
full green?
Right? What was that?
There's a nation that's full green. I think it's Iceland. Iceland's full
Iceland's
green energy now.
It's one of those places
it's the big nations that have to change, or else right?
It's the size of a state, right?
Yeah,
right.
population-wise. If you think about all of those countries in
Rhode Island,
the UK.
No, I mean Sweden, Norway. What are those called?
Oh, the Icelandic
Scandinavia.
countries.
Yeah. They're all combined 25 million people, less than Texas.
Right. Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, people always talk about how they're progressing as societies, but I mean, there's so few people compared to,
The UK, I think, is the size. The whole UK, like the whole thing of the UK is the size of like North and South Dakota.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's crazy.
but we're in a good place as far as
right now, for
somewhere
sure,
to be when the world ends.
Absolutely.
The U.S. is top 3.
At least we had good memories, right? It's like, oh man, you remember those times when we just played video games and anime and all that?
And we
right?
ate meat and had clean water.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, right.
I think that stuff is gonna be wild.
low-key, like as we sort of like always think about like zombie apocalypse type of.
This is what
like,
we wanted.
I mean, it's like
Right.
I mean, I think about it quite a bit, but at the same time, it's like, oh man, like at least we had like the nice childhoods, and hopefully can rebuild.
Yeah.
Like okay, we get rid of zombies. We figure out society again, right? Mm-hmm. And then we can get back to the anime. I don't know.
That'd be hilarious. No, because like how whenever the zombie apocalypse happens, everyone always has to ask like, "What'd you do before the turn?"
Yeah.
They'd be like, you'll just be talking about it, and they'll just be like, "Yeah, man, Godswill killed a lot of fucking zombies today. What the hell was that about? What did he do before this? He was a podcast host."
You can still find his podcast tapes in the vault over there.
The lost tapes.
Why did he record them on tapes?
I was ready. I knew we weren't gonna have computers every day.
Oh man.
Oh,
that's fucking crazy.
Well,
yeah.
Good news. G4 TV is back.
Hey.
Segue.
That's a good transition. Nice.
I don't know. It's like unfortunately I don't have the answer, Sway, for like what to do. I hope that like society and governments and corporations are doing something.
Yeah, I think we can just.
It was just the segue.
Hey
man,
we
all about
got
to
the segue, but you're like, oh, I can't.
The way he hit that though, that was like it was kind of smooth because he did the thing with it, but it wasn't really smooth.
Right, no.
It was like it almost reached the edge.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna die, but Adam Sessler.
Right.
Like, I guess, bro.
Honestly, like it's like at least that just happened yesterday. Like G4 TV, you didn't get to watch it. I'm sorry.
No.
Right.
No. But like as a TV channel that like when I was growing up, like sort of emboldened me to become more nerdy, right, and to like check out different cultures and to be like, oh man, like maybe I can be a nerd, full or longer,
full-time nerd.
Yeah, full time, right? Yeah, actually full time for sure, but like like more than just as a kid. I thought it was gonna be something I had to give up as a kid, but then this TV channel was like, hey, here's all these adults, to do this as a job, right? And
kind of legitimized it.
Yeah, it really did legitimize it.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? It legitimized like the interest in like other cultures, in nerd culture for sure. Other cultures mean Japan, really, and not really like Africa, unfortunately. But whatever. But the fact that like this TV channel like inspired me, right? And then it dropped off because it just wasn't sustainable like on TV, right? But now it's back. It came back like it had like its full launch, like a relaunch. They brought back Adam Sessler, but then also like like another like longtime host like Kevin Pereira.
Oh, nice.
But then they bring in on new hosts too. Like in fact, even people like I know like friends, like Black Hokage. All right, like he was Modern World Negro back in the day, and then like he revamped become Black Hokage. I actually want to bring him on the podcast. Still want to.
Dope.
I still hope to. But now they're on. Iffy was on the podcast a few episodes ago.
Yeah,
he's on the channel now.
Hey, that's sick.
Like big time. Yeah, like it's working out for these guys. And at least that gave me some hope. Like where it's like okay, like at least this current that we have right now, right? Mm-hmm. We do have some type of control for it, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of, minds working on the problem.
Yes.
We got like the most people ever, and we're all trying to work towards a better world.
Absolutely.
In one way.
I'm going to bring a think tank person on a few. Yeah, like I actually do have a friend like who is like in DC right now, like actually like in a think tank of like what can we do. So I'm going to try to bring her on. And,
that'd be sick.
Yeah, so yeah. She was someone I went to college with, and hopefully we can get some like good solutions and people that are working on the issues like with this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and hopefully like the way that we do change this is, hey, let's have them on the podcast and they talk about it and hey, I don't know, someone listens to it, right?
Nothing like it doesn't hurt you to know, right? That's all it is.
Right.
So it's like having them on the podcast, like knowing what's going on doesn't hurt anybody. It's cool. It's like maybe you don't feel like you can do anything with the information,
right?
But maybe you tell somebody else, and they might find a passion on
their
their own or something.
Maybe it gets you thinking, right? Yeah, maybe it gets you thinking about like what can you do, or at least start thinking about it, like we aren't going to be able to change anything unless like we do keep talking about this,
right?
And then we have to coalesce, right? And then like there's we have to bring our powers together
right.
to actually like make some change happen, right?
Incremental changes through speech.
Yeah.
It has to be done. Like you have to talk about things so that they get.
Yeah, and ideas are so kind of viral, I guess, multiplicative. Yeah. Like if you think of something and it's good, then it can spread, infinitely.
I mean, just as you were saying about like the Kanye stuff, right?
Yeah.
Kanye like has become like such a force that like his ideas like are becoming reality, right?
Yeah. And there's this idea of 80,000 hours, which is like
80,000.
Yeah,
not 10,000 anymore.
No, 80 is like the total amount of working hours you have in your life.
Oh wow.
Like after school.
Wow.
So it's like, well, what are you gonna do with these 80,000? How are you gonna allot this towards, whatever your goals are?
Fuck, man.
And I think
right.
the original context of it,
like I don't like thinking about it as like a countdown timer, but it makes sense too, though, right?
I mean, it's one of those things
Oh,
that
shit,
it's
I'm
not
on
comfortable.
8,000.
Yeah, it's like, I'm 10%, 20%,
What do I do,
30%.
right? Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's like, I think the context of it originally is this podcast where they talk about like futurism and what would you do if your goal is to secure the fate of humanity? What would you do with your first hour if you're speed running it? But
Man.
I mean, a lot of it comes down to just get rich and then you use your money to
Right.
do something. So
Right.
I mean,
that's something like I do wonder. Like I mean, although like I think that's something like I think about with social media. Where it's like no one's gonna listen to you unless you have like power, right?
Yes.
Power means money and like
Yes.
at this point like social status, right?
Influence.
Yeah, influence. If you're able to
Right.
change people's ideas, if you have 20 followers on Twitter, no one cares about what you think. Even
Right.
if you are the smartest person ever, right?
but the thing is, like, if one of those followers is someone with 40,000, and
Absolutely.
then they grab your idea, then your idea made it to
True.
and it could explode even further.
That's true, but you have to convince that guy that like why would he have to follow you, right?
Right. And I
Yeah.
think like having creative horsepower
Yeah.
is a big deal right now. Like being able to think up stuff and then make it real. I really respect that ability in like every domain.
Dope. Well,
So I think
that's what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in fact, hoping to come back with events, parties, and more, right?
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to an event recently. I'll talk to you about it after.
Yeah.
But it was this Van Gogh event, and the whole thing was like a tribute to his life.
Mhm.
And they did it at the Arlington, the old ballpark for the Rangers.
Wow.
They set up like the pipe and drape, like black walls, and there's one big exhibit hall with like these 4 walls that all were a screen, and they projected this stuff for like 30 minutes, and it was a great experience. They had music
Wow.
on it, and they even projected on the ground, and it was a huge room. Like I mean, like I don't know square feet of it, like 10,000 square feet or something.
Wow.
But I think like these experiences are a huge way to translate, what you think and what you feel into, something that people can grab onto. And just the idea that Van Gogh lived so long ago, and he died at 35.
Wow.
He had such a short life, and still he has this reach into the future where people are going to an exhibit with his work.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I think that was the coolest thing. Slight joke. Picasso. I read this recently.
Yeah, that meme, right?
Yeah.
He died in 1973, right?
And this girl's like, I thought he was alive in the 1600s.
Right. Yeah, right. Low key. Like I was like, wait a second, Picasso was recent?
He was born like 1890 something, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Frida Kahlo and all, right?
I thought that was hilarious.
It is weird, though.
It is weird, right?
The 60s weren't that long ago. At the same time, they're pretty far ago. If you think about like how close 2080 is
right.
compared to 1960, it's the same.
It's crazy,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, it's
My
wild.
parents won't be around for that. That's sad.
Man, I've been thinking about my parents.
I've been
Like,
thinking about my
I need to
parents, too.
get some grandkids quick, bro. They're like,
know,
treating the
right?
cat like a baby. I'm like, bro,
We gotta do
I need to
something,
pop
right?
some kids
on
up. Jesus Christ.
Oh man, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. Well, I guess it's a good stopping point at the moment, right?
Yeah, we're at an hour.
Right,
Hey, almost
yeah,
exactly.
It worked out, yeah. So, anyways, hopefully we're not gonna die too soon, right?
We'll have a follow-up podcast. And
Happy
then
birthday, Josh.
Yeah, happy birthday. Everything will be.
Is it time yet?
No, we got
but
for
almost
40
there.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever you
Happy
hear
early
this,
birthday. When this episode's
wish him-
out, it will be your birthday for
Yeah,
sure.
there we
man.
go.
Yes. So, happy early birthday, sir. And happy birthday to us, I guess, is starting this new decade of life, and
Yeah.
hopefully it goes well, right?
I feel like from here on
Yeah.
out, we just kind of group our birthdays. Just have some like.
No, I want to speak
Soviet.
cool. I'm still no.
I mean, you have New Year's. It's
yeah,
different.
yeah. I got to keep mine birthday. I'm
You have your
still
own party
cool,
every
right?
year.
Yeah, right. But I don't know. I'm excited for the future. We're gonna have to go through a lot of pain points
I think it's necessary. It's
Yes.
like
Right.
growing pains for
Very
us.
much.
Absolutely.
For
Yeah.
everyone.
And very much. And I do have hope and optimism. Like it, right? Like just as we are starting to talk about what is necessary to be a good person, a good society, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
We are doing these. We're doing the work, right? Like the LGBT talk never happened 10 years before, right?
Right.
Now is happening, and things are getting better. Not great, but like they're getting better, right?
Yeah.
Can I say something to
Go
that?
ahead, yeah.
So this has been bothering me because I was literally in, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I just be thinking about this random shit. I was in my kitchen. I was in my pantry and I was just like, that shit's fucked up. So I was just sitting there and I was like, the crazy thing is like, imagine if there was a group of people who had a whole religion, like a world renowned religion, like it's huge. And they were just like, yo, Godswill, I like you. Like, I actually love you, man. Like, I have nothing against you.
I know what you mean.
It's just like, I don't approve of who you are.
Yeah, how you live your life, right?
Like,
No,
you
just
as a
like you
person,
being
yeah,
black.
who you are,
Just
right?
you being black, I don't
Yeah.
approve of it.
Yeah.
But like, yo, man, if you want to hang out, like I ain't got nothing but love for you, dog. I just don't approve of you existing.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what- yeah,
is that the
yeah.
weirdest shit? And people are like, I don't understand why they don't get it.
It's like a
Right.
cult,
Bro,
Right?
yeah.
It is.
It's not okay.
Yeah, I
It
know.
only makes sense if you like grow
Grew
up in it.
yeah.
Yes, and I understand that, and I'm not saying that religion's wrong, but I feel like you definitely have to. If you are Christian, you definitely have to look at your religion and figure something out.
Yeah.
Figure some loopholes out if you need to.
You can't just be parroting that the whole time. You have to actually think about what does that mean that you just said that,
Yeah, you
right?
just told someone that you don't agree with their existence, but you love them. That those two things they can't overlap.
Yeah, and those are
especially
ideas-
like when the book or like the guidebook, the rule book, never said shit about that.
Yeah, you're interpreting someone's interpretation of someone else's
Your
interpretation.
pastor or whoever was interpreted it to you in a certain way and was like, this is what he meant.
Right.
And you can understand
Yeah,
that's not
it's like 10 layers of telephone.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
These people fought wars, 9 layers down, and it's like, okay, man.
Man.
I'm not
I
saying
do
like-
have hope.
yeah.
We're starting to talk about it, right?
And I
like
think
the fact that like we are
talking in person is so much better.
absolutely. I'm glad that we got to do this. We got to do it again for sure for more times.
Okay.
I'll be in town for at least until January. So
That's gonna be sick.
Dope.
Yeah, so
I'll get extra.
Real demon hours. Guys was here for a while.
Yeah.
let's go, and we'll get some good guests. I'm gonna try to bring on the think tank people.
I'd be sick.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
They take people.
Yeah, they're smart people for sure. So
That's
yeah.
dope.
So, anyways, this was a good stopping point.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode. It was very interesting. We didn't know where it was going to go, but that's why I like talking with y'all.
Yeah, we
'Cause
found somewhere.
It's good conversations, and we went to some places for sure. And
Yeah,
I
we
think
did.
that we did learn some things. So, I'm excited. We'll see where things go. Anyway,
Yeah.
as always, stay dope, folks. Peace.
Peace.
That was good. That was good.